This is the image of the great warrior chief of the Lakota Sioux, Crazy Horse. This is Sitting Bull, chief of the Teton Dakota Sioux. This is Geronimo, fierce warrior and leader of a Cherokee Apache band. This is Victoria, warrior and chief of the Cheyenne Apache tribe. This is Mangus Coloradus, great warrior of the Membino Apaches, and also father-in-law of the great warrior chief of the Chiricahua Apache, Cochise. This is Chief Joseph of the Nez Perce. And this is Guana Parker, warrior chief of the Cheyenne. There's another warrior chief whose name should be mentioned along with these honored warriors. He's believed to have been the most decorated Native American soldier ever. His name is Pascal Poolaw. He was born a full-blooded Kiowa in Apache, Oklahoma on January the 22nd, 1922. First Sergeant Poolaw was awarded 42 medals and 2 citations. That included 4 Silver Stars, the third highest military honor, and 3 Purple Hearts, plus 5 Bronze Stars. In 1942, Pascal, along with his father and 2 brothers, entered the military at the beginning of World War II. He first saw action at the Battle of Normandy, and on September the 8th, 1944, near the village of Recon, Belgium, Sergeant Poolaw found his men surrounded by the enemy. He pushed his men forward, and under heavy German machine gun fire, Sergeant Poolaw exposed himself for some 5 minutes, throwing hand grenades and causing numerous casualties to the enemy, causing them to disperse. For this action, Sergeant Poolaw received his first Silver Star, and from his wound, his first Purple Heart. The Silver Star citation reads, "Due to Sergeant Poolaw's actions, many of his comrades' lives were saved, and the company was able to continue the attack and capture strongly defended enemy positions. Sergeant Poolaw's display of courage, aggressive spirit, and complete disregard for personal safety are in keeping with the highest traditions of the military service." Staff Sergeant Poolaw remained in the military after the war, and within a few years he found himself in battle again. While serving in Korea, Sergeant First Class Poolaw will receive his second Silver Star. His citation reads as follows: "While serving with Company C, 27th Infantry Regiment, 25th Infantry Division, on 19 September 1950, when the company attack on an enemy position was halted by stiff enemy resistance, Sergeant Poolaw volunteered to lead his squad in an assault, courageously leading his men in a charge up a steep slope to penetrate the enemy perimeter, and engaged a numerically superior enemy force in fierce hand-to-hand combat. Sergeant Poolaw inspired his men to hold their position until the remainder of the company was able to seize the objective. Sergeant First Class Poolaw's outstanding leadership reflects great credit upon himself and in keeping with the highest traditions of the American soldier. While still serving in Korea, Master Sergeant Pascal Poolaw will receive his third Silver Star. On the 4th of April 1951, near Chungcheongnam, Korea, while attacking strong hostile positions, one squad of Sergeant Poolaw's platoon was immobilized by a devastating automatic weapons and mortar barrage. Exposing himself to the enemy fire, he slowly advanced across open terrain, firing his rifle as he progressed. By deliberately averting the attention of the foe to himself, he enabled his men to maneuver to a more advantageous position. Master Sergeant Poolaw's valorous actions were instrumental in the fulfillment of the unit's mission and are in keeping with the highest traditions of the American soldier. Master Sergeant Poolaw, during his service in Korea, was awarded a battlefield commission to second lieutenant. Now here he is holding the American flag in Oklahoma in 1952. After returning home from Korea, he's attending a tribal honor dance. First Lieutenant Poolaw retired from the Army in 1962. After 5 years of retirement, in February of 1967, the Poolaws were notified that their youngest son, Pascal Jr., had been wounded by a landmine in Vietnam. His right leg had to be amputated below the knee. When another son, Lindy, was notified that he was scheduled for Vietnam, Lieutenant Poolaw volunteered for Combat Zone, hoping to serve in combat to spare his sons the horrors of war. The military had a regulation that where only one family member at a time could serve in a war zone without volunteering. He was told as an officer he might not be able to be sent to Vietnam, but as a master sergeant he could. Poolaw relinquished his officer's rank. All 4 of his sons served in the military at one time or another. At the age of 45, Sergeant Poolaw was deployed on May the 31st, 1967, as First Sergeant to the 26th Infantry Regiment, C Company. As he was departing for Vietnam, he learned that his son had left 1 day before. He volunteered to continue. First Sergeant Poolaw was in Vietnam 4 months when he was on a search and destroy mission near the village of Lo Nai. This is Sergeant Poolaw sitting with his back to the camera, looking after his men. On November the 7th, 1967, First Sergeant Poolaw's platoon was ambushed by an overwhelming Viet Cong force using mines, rockets, small arms, and automatic weapons. Through a hail of bullets, Sergeant Poolaw rushed to the lead squad position, instructing his men how to lay down a base of fire and positioning his men, saving countless lives. While being wounded himself, Sergeant Poolaw began pulling wounded back to safety. While carrying a wounded soldier, First Sergeant Pascal Poolaw was struck and killed by an enemy rocket-propelled grenade. Sergeant Poolaw was awarded his 4th Silver Star and his 3rd Purple Heart posthumously. He was laid to rest at Fort Sill, Oklahoma. At his funeral, his wife made this statement about her warrior husband. He has followed the trails of the great chiefs. His people hold him in honor and highest esteem. He has given his life for the people and country he loves so much. First Sergeant Pascal Clevis Poolaw was never awarded the Medal of Honor, but he certainly deserved it.